It was the winter of 2019 in Chicago. Snow covered the empty streets, and the cold wind howled between tall buildings late at night. Jacob Miller worked as a night security guard in an old office building built in the late 1990s. Most of the offices were empty at night, and his job was simple: watch the cameras, patrol the hallways, and make sure nothing unusual happened. But there was one rule everyone in the building knew: never go to the 13th floor. The elevator skipped it automatically. The stairway door leading to it was locked with chains. When Jacob first asked about it, the building manager just said, "Old electrical problems. Nothing important. Just stay away from it." But the older security guards whispered something else. They said that 6 years earlier, another guard disappeared there. The first sign. One quiet night at 2:17 a.m., Jacob was sitting in the security room drinking coffee and watching the monitors. Suddenly, one screen flickered. Camera 13. Jacob leaned forward. That camera doesn't even work. The hallway appeared on the screen. It was dark and dusty. The lights flickered weakly. At the end of the hallway was a single door. Slowly, the door began opening. Jacob felt a chill run through his body. Then the speakers crackled. Tock, tock, tock. Someone was knocking, but the building was empty. The elevator ride. Just then, the elevator outside made a sound. Ding! Jacob stepped out of the security room. The elevator door stood open. Inside, one button was glowing. 13. That floor shouldn't even be accessible, Jacob whispered. For a moment, he thought about ignoring it, but curiosity won. He stepped inside. The doors closed. The elevator moved upward. 1, 4, 8, 10. Then it stopped. 13. The doors opened slowly. Cold air flowed into the elevator. The hallway. The hallway looked exactly like the camera feed. Dust everywhere. Broken ceiling lights flickering. The long corridor stretched into darkness. Jacob stepped out slowly. Then he heard footsteps behind him. Thock, thock, thock. He turned around quickly. Nothing. But when he looked down, wet footprints appeared on the floor, one by one, as if something invisible was walking toward him. Jacob's heart pounded. He followed the footprints. They led to the same door he had seen on the camera. The room. The door creaked open. Inside the room was complete darkness. Jacob turned on his flashlight. The beam revealed a small, empty office, except for one object, a chair in the middle of the room, and on the chair, a security guard uniform. Jacob walked closer. The name stitched on the back read, Jacob Miller. His hands started shaking. How is this possible? Then he heard a whisper behind him, "Because you've already been here." Jacob slowly turned around. A tall shadow stood in the corner. The figure stepped forward into the flashlight beam. Jacob gasped. The face was identical to his, but the skin was pale, and the eyes were completely black. "The truth," the figure spoke in a low voice. "You were never supposed to come back." Jacob's mind raced. "What are you talking about?" The shadow smiled. 6 years ago, you worked here before." Jacob shook his head. "That's impossible." But then flashes appeared in his mind. Memories, a hallway, a door, a scream. The shadow continued. "You came here during your first night shift, just like tonight. You opened the same door, and something inside replaced you." Jacob stumbled backward. "No." The shadow leaned closer. "You forgot because we made you forget. Every few years, someone new takes the place. And tonight," the shadow smiled wider. "It's your turn again." The disappearance. Suddenly, the lights in the hallway went out. Jacob screamed. The flashlight dropped to the floor. When the lights came back on, the room was empty. The last recording. The next morning, police were called to the building. Jacob Miller had disappeared. Security checked the recordings. Only one camera had footage. Camera 13. The video showed Jacob standing in the hallway. But something looked wrong. His posture was unnatural. His head tilted slightly. He slowly turned toward the camera and smiled. Then he said in a strange voice, "Don't worry, I'll watch the building now." Then he reached forward and turned off the camera. What happened after? After that night, the building owners sealed the 13th floor permanently. The stairways were welded shut. The elevator button was removed, but something strange still happens. People who work late nights in nearby buildings sometimes report something terrifying. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the elevator in that building sometimes stops between floors. And inside the empty hallway above, a camera briefly turns on, showing a security guard walking slowly down the corridor, looking directly into the lens, and smiling. Because whatever lives on the 13th floor is still working the night shift. After the first incident, no one wanted to work in that building for months. The owners eventually decided to sell the property. But before selling it, an investigation was required. So a new security company was hired. Among the team was a security officer named Sarah Collins. Sarah was brave and didn't believe in ghost stories. She said, "Stories like this are just rumors." But the building where everything had happened was still standing in Chicago, and the 13th floor was still sealed. The new investigation. Sarah and her team started their inspection at night. They went into the old security room and turned the camera system back on. Most of the cameras were working fine, but one camera was still inactive. Camera 13. Sarah asked the technician, "Why is this one off?" The technician replied nervously, "Ma'am, this camera never works. No one knows why." Sarah laughed. "Let's fix it tonight." After a few minutes, the camera finally turned on. The screen showed the same long, dark hallway. Dust covered the floor, but this time something was different. At the end of the hallway, someone was standing there. The figure on the screen. Sarah zoomed in on the monitor. It was a security guard. He was slowly staring directly into the camera. A faint smile appeared on his face. The technician's voice trembled. "Ma'am, that's the same man." Sarah looked closely. The name stitched on the uniform read Jacob Miller. The room fell silent. Movement on the camera. Suddenly, the camera image started shaking, as if someone was touching it. The guard slowly raised his hand. Then he leaned very close to the camera. In a quiet whisper, he said, "You came back." Sarah's heart began pounding. "Is this some kind of joke?" she asked. But suddenly, the screen went completely black. At that exact moment, the elevator made a sound. Ding! Floor 13. Again, Sarah and her team walked toward the elevator. The doors were already open. Inside, only one button was glowing. 13. One of the team members whispered nervously, "Ma'am, we should leave." But Sarah was determined. "We need to know the truth." She stepped inside the elevator. 2 other guards followed her. The doors closed. The elevator began moving upward. 1, 5, 9, then it stopped. 13, the doors slowly opened. The sealed floor. The hallway looked even more terrifying now. Old stains covered the walls. A rotten smell filled the air. Sarah turned on her flashlight and stepped forward. Suddenly, she felt like someone was watching them. At the far end of the corridor, a figure stood still. It was the same security guard, Jacob Miller. Sarah called out, "Jacob?" The figure slowly walked toward them, but the way he moved was unnatural. His body twisted strangely, like his bones were broken. He stopped right in front of them. Then he smiled. "You're very late," he said. Sarah asked, "How are you still alive?" Jacob's smile grew wider. "I'm not alive." Then he pointed behind him. From the darkness of the hallway, dozens of shadows began appearing. People in old clothes. Some were security guards. Some were office workers. Some were children. Sarah felt her blood freeze. Jacob whispered slowly, "All of them used to work here. Now they all stay here." The final truth. Sarah tried to run back to the elevator, but the elevator doors slammed shut. The hallway lights started turning off one by one. Jacob's voice echoed through the darkness. The 13th floor is never empty. It only waits for new souls. That night, Sarah and her entire team disappeared. When the police investigated, they found only one thing: a security camera recording. On the footage, several people were standing in the hallway of the 13th floor. Among them, Sarah Collins. She was slowly staring at the camera and smiling.